Hello, this is my video, and today I'll be talking about WWE's week in wrestling. WrestleMania is just around the corner, so things are starting to, or at least supposed to, reach their pinnacle. Some things are actually doing that, while others are falling flat on their ass, and NXT is once again kind of just there, with only 3 matches actually confirmed for Stand and Deliver, and 2 are still being built up to. Raw was alright outside of what the main stars are doing. It started off pretty strong with Cody and Cena finally interacting for real after half-assing it for weeks. It brought some much needed fire to this feud, so it's not just Cena shit talking to fans. And this promo brought some good lines, but also ones that had me looking at them weird. One thing I want to get off is I saw a tweet kind of pointing out how Cena's delivery in these heel promos is kind of weird. His voice has become very over the top, and I guess try hard as Cena tries to make sure that you could tell he's mad and evil now. When it'll come off better for me, at least, if he was more in his tone when he had that promo battle with Roman Reigns when he returned in 2022. He'd still come off as serious and frustrated, but not almost comical like he is now. He still had what I think is a pretty good promo regardless, because he cooked Cody with a couple lines, like saying Cody's ego outmatched his ability, which I liked, and saying Cody comes off as too clean and perfect, which is something I often say about him myself. But Cody didn't hit Cena as hard. Cody mentions him getting booed in the company he created, and says the fans chose him unlike Cena, where the fans rejected him and Vince chose him. Which is just wrong, because how can you mention the fans booing you out of your own company, but somehow the fans chose you? Vince himself flew out to you to talk about signing back to the Fed. If anything, the fans actually chose Cena because his ass was going to get fired until he found a gimmick that finally worked for him, while Vince fired your ass and waited until you became the physical embodiment of everything WWE in order to hire you back. Overall, fine segment. We then get the New Day in the ring, and it leads to Adam Pearce coming out to announce their opponents of the returning Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne reforming New Catch Republic. Even though Dunne has been heel for quite a long time now, but he's just chill again, I guess. It was a good match, and I'm glad to see Bate is back. He could really help bring more energy to the tag division, as it's very dire on Raw, but surprisingly the New Catch Republic lose in their home crowd at the shows in England. The New Day head up the ramp where they meet face to face with the tag team champions and War Raiders, who get 0 reaction. Guys, please stop showing me Evolve. You would actually have to chain me down and pull my teeth out for me to even entertain the idea of watching that show. I'm almost as annoyed with that as I am the insane level of Triple H dick suck we get. Hunter, we get it. You're going in the Hall of Fame. But you being the only one to get multiple video packages for your Hall of Fame induction is crazy work. Now, we enter the best part of the show, which is Gunther versus Jimmy Uso. This match wasn't anything special, but I still think it was great. Jimmy is great at working from under in this incredible seller, while Gunther just beats his ass up in various ways until he wins. Then that leads to the peak of the show, which isn't even an actual match, but is when Gunther attacks Jimmy after it, and Jay comes out to try and save his brother. We get a great segment of Gunther killing a bloody Jimmy after getting hit with the world title, and while Jay is zip tied to the rope. Jimmy bladed in crazy style, and the blood looked great, and finally gave Gunther a sense of intimidation that he's been missing since his Priest feud. He even calls Jay a pussy while choking out Jimmy, which was really funny. Everyone did great in this segment, and despite people shitting on Jay saying his acting was bad in this segment, I actually liked it. So there you go, Jey Uso. You got positive words for me. Congratulations. There was a great little tag match with Braun and Penta versus Finn and Dom, and with Judgment Day wins. Not gonna lie, Penta and Braun kind of carried the match. Not saying Dom or Finn did bad per se, it's just that Braun and Penta were so explosive and energetic in that match that they kind of stole the show. I really need Dom to go solo again because I haven't forgot about North American title reign in this match with Dragon Lee. That was some real shit, and I need more. AJ Styles has an in-ring promo, but my internet ran out just as Logan Paul showed up. And I think that was God helping me because I don't want to spend a single second listening to that fucking bum. After that, it's main event time. Rhea Ripley versus Io Sky with Bianca Belair as a special guest ref. I liked it at first as it was a pretty good match, especially in the second half, even with the fucked up Poison Rana and regular special ref match shenanigans, like getting mad at the ref for simply doing their job. Rhea knocks Bianca to the outside by accident, then Rhea hits her on purpose. Then Io drop kicks Bianca by accident, by which Bianca calls off the match in a very dry and flat finish. Doesn't help that the show just closes with Rhea beating both of their asses. The build for these triple threat matches have been weird, but I'll get on to Punk, Roman, and Rollins later. Rhea has been a childish dickhead, yet the crowd continues to cheer for her and treat her as the face, and even ask her to hit a second riptide during her post-match beatdown. Nothing in this build feels truly organic, and every advancement makes me question what the fuck is going on here. But at least the Mania match will be good. NXT starts in a fairly disappointing way as Vancouver announced that she's already relinquishing her Women's North American title, resulting in a 6-woman ladder match at Stand and Deliver, and Vancouver would choose her opponent for the NXT Women's title at the same show. Now, to be fair, Julia dropped the NXT Women's title because it was reported that she needed time off to recover, but it is saddening to hear that Vancouver didn't get to actually do anything as double champ, especially how much they hyped up her retaining both titles in the same night the week before. Jordan Grace and Jada Parker pull up and start fighting as Jordan Grace ends up standing tall, so I wouldn't mind that being Vancouver's match to Stand and Deliver. Speaking of Stand and Deliver, we get our first qualifying match for the Women's North American title ladder match, Zarya vs. Last Legend. I like the match, these two did not hold back on any of their strikes, which I love, but I've been waiting for Zarya to really impress me, and this match didn't do it for me. She did have a nice looking F5 to finish the match, but I was ultimately more impressed with Lash Legend by the end. Then there's a little segment with the D'Angelo family, basically giving backstories for all the Dark State guys, talking like they're actual gang of hoodlums, especially Saquon Sugars, who Stack says he turned down Harvard just to do this thuggish activity. Kind of huge in-ring promo with Javon, Trick, and Oba, where Javon calls Trick Williams Carmelo Hayes, since he's low-burning him the same way that Melo used to do. We didn't get Ava making an announcement as all three men were arguing that they'll be having a triple threat match to Stand and Deliver for the NXT title. And I can only imagine that being a really great match. And getting to see black men main event Stand and Deliver for the second time in a row is really cool, especially since it's for the NXT title this time. But I couldn't imagine for much longer as Dark State came out and started attacking everyone, including Trick, who many thought was the leader of Dark State since they weren't attacking him in previous weeks, but they ended up beating his ass now. Kalani kind of surprisingly defeats Roxanne clean to secure a spot in the Stand and Deliver ladder match, and the main event for that show, who wrestles Dark State in their first trios match the next week. But now we get the main event of this show, which is Sean Spears and his shitty little faction who are somehow just a worse schism versus a real nigga in Ricky Saints, who carries this match and actually makes it entertaining, while Sean is just a wet fart of a wrestler who's just dragging the match down. But thankfully, Ricky Saints ends up winning the title and receives his XAW stimulus push. And speaking of XAW stimulus push, Ethan Page attacks Ricky Saints after the match, setting up for Stand and Deliver. SmackDown was surprisingly good, as it's usually the weakest show of the week, but it was quite entertaining in ways that were purposeful and ways that weren't. For example, the main event was Braun Strowman vs. Jacob Fatu in a last man standing match. That was a very good match because you can't go wrong with two big niggas just called Mayhem, which Fatu won, meaning LA Knight vs. Jacob Fatu for the US title is official for WrestleMania. And then you have Charlotte and Tiffany Stratton's in-ring promo, which is honestly a must watch because it's a masterclass of disaster, with the crowd booing so hard that Charlotte just gives up and hands the promo to Tiffany just to mock her the second she slips up even a little bit on the mic. Tiffany then mentions Charlotte's 0-3 record of marriages, which makes Charlotte panic, so she just lies and says Ludwig is in her DMs to try and save face. It was reported that both went very off script for that promo, and watching it was obvious. Outside of that shit show, there's a nice little promo at the start of Punk showing love to Chicago and then talking to Paul Heyman, which sets up their main event segment. And then the debut of Rey Fenix, who has a very good, albeit short, match with Nathan Frazier. Phoenix was hitting Frazier with some hard-ass chops, an insane move, which I thought was going to be his finish, until Frazier kicks out and Phoenix hits his actual finisher, the Mexican Muscle Buster. Nice debut for him. There's LA Knight versus Tama Tonga, which was definitely a match, and B-Fab versus Naomi, which was a very short match, but the actual match wasn't the important part. It was Nick Aldis announcing after Naomi and Jade were brawling that the two would finally go face to face at WrestleMania. DIY and Motor City Machine Guns have a nice match. The Miz and Mello were shit talking pretty deadly in the back. I genuinely almost cried when the Miz said Mello don't Miz and his shitty little catchphrase he made. God, please save Carmelo Anthony Hayes. I'm fucking begging you. Now in a more serious and sad manner, Kevin Owens comes out to reveal that he's been dealing with a neck issue for about 4 months. It requires surgery and he doesn't know when he'll be back, meaning that his Mania match against Orton is cancelled. The fact that Owens did that ladder match and unsanctioned match with neck issues is insane. KO's been one of the best on the WWE roster for a long time, and I really hope he'll be able to come back. If not, I'm glad he was able to be such a great talent for so long. The show ends with Punk telling Paul and Roman what his favorite is, as Seth Rollins just watches in the background, doing nothing. This feud is just Rollins and Roman switching between who's just doing nothing while Punk is the only consistent part. Besides that, Punk reveals that the favorite is Paul Heyman will be in Punk's corner for WrestleMania, and Roman gets mad as Paul actually accepts that, and Punk hits a GTS on Roman to close the show. The favorite isn't nearly as insane as some people try to make it, and most are disappointed, but I'm willing to let it cook. Because this ends up with Heyman and Reigns ending their team up, it will allow Roman to actually do something new and interesting again and evolve his character if he wants to show up enough to where that can happen. But this is Roman Reigns we're talking about. He's probably going to lose at Mania and take some more time off because he's fucking bombing a fraud. Only good Shield member in 2025 is Mox, and that nigga just had to wrestle Cope in a mega shitter. Moral of the week, Roman is a fraud.